these 3 videos hide the most disturbing secrets. Pay attention to the man in the red sweater and the blue cap. At first glance, he looks perfectly normal, but the truth is, he attacked a 17-year-old girl, dragged her body into the woods, and left her for dead. Was it done in a fit of rage or in cold blood? The most disturbing thing about this video is it was filmed on April 27, 2006, mere minutes after the murder. Or so he thought.
She's breathing. She's breathing. Get EMTs. Get EMTs.
Assaulted, paralyzed, and left for dead, 17-year-old Ashley Reeves never thought having a friendship with a gym teacher would end up nearly costing her her life. But she survived because of the relentless officers who found her in the nick of time. They were out in the woods looking for a body, but she was there, fighting for her life.
It still boggles my mind that I could be dead right now.
In the small village of Millstadt, Illinois, sporty teenager Ashley is living with her parents and her younger sister, Casey, who looks up to her.
She was a strong person. She was always out. She had a lot of friends. She knew what she was going to do in life.
She was smart. She never really drank a lot or was into drugs or anything like this, and she was basically very responsible.
She has a loving boyfriend, but this particular week, she got in a fight with him. It's April 27th, 2006. Ashley leaves the house at around 3 p.m., informing her mother that she has a job interview in a neighboring town. She drives off in her boyfriend's pickup truck. It's 10:30 that night. Ashley never showed up at the house in time to take care of her little sister like she promised. Not being home before 10, her curfew, has never happened.
It was always the rule that, at 10 o'clock, if you can't make it, that phone better be ringing by 10 o'clock. Don't make me worry.
Ashley isn't answering her phone or any of her texts. Michelle, her mother, starts to panic. Her and Casey look around the house for clues as to where she might have gone. Casey thinks of checking the family cell phone bill. She finds dozens of calls from an unknown number to Ashley's phone.
And she opens it up and she goes, "Oh." And I go, "What?" And she goes, "Mom, this is all the same number." And I said, well, call it. Whose number is it?
When Michelle calls the number, on the other end is a familiar voice, Sam Shelton, a gym teacher Ashley has become close friends with.
I knew she was in contact with Sam. I actually thought he was a very nice guy.
Michelle asks Sam if he has any idea where her daughter could be.
He was very respectful, very polite. Reassured me that he was sure that there was nothing to worry about then.
Michelle knows her daughter would never miss curfew, so she calls the sheriff's office to report Ashley missing.
Well, unfortunately, we get a few calls that are like that, but there was something with her voice that really sounded very stressful. And I said, Captain, this one sounds a little bit different. I think we probably need to run with this one right away.
As the police begin their investigation, Michelle is worried sick at home. She calls all of Ashley's friends. Everyone tries to get in contact with her, to no avail. Michelle spends a sleepless night waiting for a call, fearing the worst.
Every horrible thought there possibly could be is going through your head and running it over and over and over, and you're thinking, this isn't stuff you see on TV. This can't be, I may never see my child again. And that is the most horrible feeling in the world.
April 28th. It doesn't take long for the cops to find the pickup truck Ashley was driving, parked less than 10 miles from her house, at Latterman Park. Inside, they find clothes she brought for her interview, and basketball clothes.
Why would, a young female want to, play basketball in a park far away from school?
The question makes the officer wonder if Ashley was hiding something, but there's no trace of Ashley. Police have no choice but to bring in the usual suspects. Ashley's boyfriend, Jeremy Thomas Smith, had a fight with her that Wednesday. He's the first name on the list.
Can you state your full name, please?
Jeremy Thomas Smith.
And when was the last time that you talked to her?
It was yesterday it was around noonish, about between 11 and 1. I called her, left a voicemail earlier that morning. She called me on lunch to see what I wanted, and I asked her if she could bring my truck back. She said no, because I'm going to go to this interview, and I'm going to go play basketball.
This confirms what Lieutenant Michael Hundelt suspected. She had arranged to meet someone to go play basketball. Why didn't she tell her mom or her sister she was going to play basketball? According to Lieutenant Hundelt, Jeremy isn't raising any suspicions. His tone of voice is appropriate. His explanations are coherent.
He seemed like he cared for Ashley quite a bit, but I had a strong feeling that he didn't really know anything that was going on.
At this point, Jeremy is the only person aware that Ashley was headed to Latterman Park. But who was Ashley going to meet there? only one name comes to mind.
Sam, the teacher that is a friend of yours, I believe. What's their relationship like? What's that?
Just a friend.
So they play basketball together?
They played a couple times that I know of.
Do they talk quite a bit with each other? Or?
Yeah, they talk a lot. He calls whenever, I'm around, and which, like I said, I don't mind.
Lieutenant Hundelt takes notes of the phone calls made by Sam Shelton. As you will see later on, it will come in useful. Lieutenant Hundelt can tell Ashley's boyfriend is fully aware of the close relationship between Sam and his girlfriend, but they still can't understand how Ashley's meeting with the 26-year-old gym teacher led to her disappearance.
I don't think he would ever do anything to harm her, It's just, it doesn't seem like it's his nature.
He was actually considered at the time a minor lead, because what had been told to us was he was a friend of Ashley's that they would just kind of play basketball together.
Lieutenant Hundelt and Sergeant Stockett take the young coach out of basketball practice.
Just state your name for the record. Sam Shelton.
Sam Shelton is respected by all, admired by many, and occasionally causes teenage girls to fall for him.
He knew he was good looking and charming, and
all the students seemed to love him. Hi, Mr. Shelton, very respectful of him.
His reputation even spread to a neighboring high school like Columbia, where Ashley is a student. But even if everyone loves perfect gym teacher Sam, something's off. Why would a teacher hang out with a 17-year-old girl from a different school? When the interrogation begins, they find that Sam is very friendly and cooperative, but he denies having seen her at all that day.
I really do not know where she is. I have no idea.
In fact, he denies having any sort of relationship with Ashley in the first place, which tips off the interrogators. They confront him with the pages of phone records showing hundreds of calls and text messages he exchanged with Ashley. Right away, Sam changes his story. Now he admits being close to Ashley, saying that she came after him.
I think she kind of started becoming obsessed with me. Because like I said, she was calling me literally non-stop at times.
This time, Lieutenant Hundelt recalls what Ashley's boyfriend Jeremy said in his interrogation.
He calls whenever, I'm around, and which, like I said, I don't mind.
Apparently, Sam is the one who calls Ashley all the time. But now, he's trying to convince interrogators he never wanted anything to do with her.
Something wasn't right with this guy. He kept changing his story. After hours and hours, he would add more information or change what he initially said.
I felt like he knew more than what he was telling us.
The interrogators are beginning to see clearly now. Sam is hiding something. And it's more than just his friendship with a teenage girl. But as time passes, their chances of finding Ashley alive decrease rapidly. They can't wait around. They have to make him talk.
We know something happened to Ashley. And we know, without a doubt, the investigation clearly shows without a doubt, Sam, that you know what happened.
Finally, after hours of questioning and going around in circles, Sam's defense begins to crack. He confesses he did see her that day.
He called me back at about 6:50. Was talking to her. She went to me up at Latterman Park about 3:45, 4 o'clock, somewhere around there.
When he said, I met her at the park that day, that right there it kind of gave me the uh-oh feeling that there's something wrong here.
We were just driving down back and forth down the road. And I just simply explained, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. I pulled over there on the side of the road to talk because I could not stand. So, she was screaming and yelling. I could not stand to listen to her. I got mad and I said, please get out. And she wouldn't get out. So I put the car in park, went over, opened up my door, and I pulled her seatbelt off, and I pulled her, and set her out there.
The officers don't buy his story. The problem is, in Sam's version, Ashley is alive and well.
I think he was going to try to just manipulate us, continue to talk to us and be cooperative, just kind of play along and hope that this all just go away.
I left her there, is what I did. I left her out there by Radio Range Road. I left her right out there.
You mean to tell me that this is a person that you cared for, that you left her on the side of the road, but you didn't even try to talk to her or call her after that? I said, I find that hard to believe.
And it was points, I'm going to be honest with you, where I was just like, this guy's not giving us anything.
Sam's not telling the truth. It's been 30 hours since Ashley disappeared, and the investigators are beginning to think Sam might never give in. Time is running out. Chief of Police Stephen Johnson comes in to talk to Sam, alone. He uses his personal connection with him to pull at his heartstrings. This is where the first real break happens.
If I left from here and I went and talked to Grandma right now, and I laid down this whole story that you're saying, what's Grandma gonna say?
I just want to go home. I just want to explain to Mom and Grandma exactly what happened.
Grandma's not here.
I know.
Your mom's not here.
No,
but you know what? In a way they are. Because everything they taught you, all the talks Grandma had with you, are within you. All of them are. And unfortunately right now, Sam, you ain't telling us the truth. And you need to. You have to. For Mom. For Grandma.
When he asked to be alone, I knew he was ready to confess.
Can I go show you what happened?
Please. She's still out there, Sam. She is. And where's it at?
I'd like to show you. Are you ready to go there? I just say you have a neck of a place to shoulder out there.
Sam's depiction of what he did to Ashley is too graphic. Out of respect for the victim, we won't be sharing this part of the interrogation. After 12 hours of grueling interrogation, the officers switch into high gear and speed toward the area Sam is leading them to. But according to Sam, all they're going to find is a body.
70, sorry, crossing.
Okay, came in there. I don't know. I came in the woods and I just started moving.
It's raining, freezing. Sam can't seem to find his bearings and is walking in circles.
After we had walked through the woods for probably 20, 30 minutes or so, I was beginning to wonder if he was maybe just kind of taking us on a wild goose chase and playing with us again.
Oh, hey, right there.
Finally, flashlights land on a grisly discovery. Ashley's broken body is laying there, arms stiff up front.
She was laying on the ground, on her back, obviously deceased.
There was thousands of insect bites all over her. She'd been out there for a long time.
All of a sudden, they notice her chest is moving.
She's breathing. She's breathing.
After more than 30 hours on the ground outside, under rain and frost, Ashley is holding on to life. The officers can't believe what they're seeing.
Get EMTs. Get EMTs.
I saw her chest rise, and it was just like, oh my God.
Ashley?
It was just panicky.
Ashley, can you hear me? Can you talk to me? Oh my God, we found her. She's alive.
The EMTs have to clear a path through the woods to carry her out. It takes them an hour to get her inside the ambulance and on her way to the hospital. But as Ashley is barely holding on to life, every second they risk losing her.
I didn't have a whole lot of faith that she was going to survive the trip to the hospital.
My concern was that she may not make it through the night or may not make it through the next couple days or so.
Ashley's mom, Michelle, is terrified at the idea that her daughter might not make it through the night.
There's no blink response or pain response or anything. This is bad.
But as she held on to life in the woods, beyond what doctors thought was statistically impossible, Ashley beats the odds and survives. Her recovery is slow and she requires constant care and physical therapy. Her brain and spine were greatly affected. She has to relearn everything. How to walk, but also how to talk. Ashley has no memory of that evening. She still doesn't understand what happened to her, how Sam, who she considers a dear friend, could have done something like this.
I want to know exactly what happened to me. For the longest time, I didn't want to believe that Sam did it.
But the perfect picture she holds of that man she called her friend is quickly tarnished when she hears what he said during the interrogation, but more importantly, what he did after he left her for dead. Sam Shelton was caught on tape line dancing at a local club mere moments after the attack.
Very, very aggravating. He was one of my good friends, and he dumped me in the woods and went dancing.
And on his phone, text messages to other teenage girls show he didn't wait long to go flirting again.
We've had several families come forward, and he's had numerous relationships with other young girls.
But he doesn't seem to have much remorse when he asks this particular question after his confession. And remember, this happened before he took the police to see Ashley. It seems he was more worried about his well-being in jail than about helping the cops.
Am I able to get like a little private toilet because I can't pee and move people around because of my urinary stress disorder?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
I'll be miserable if I can't pee.
Yeah.
The question remains, what triggered Sam to act like this? Did Ashley say something that set him off?
Ultimately, I don't think there is anything that I could have done to even set anybody off like that.
One thing she does remember is his fiery temper.
He definitely liked to get his way. If he was told no, then he threw a fit.
Did you find it odd when he was text messaging you all the time? You said he kind of wanted to know where you were all the time.
At the time, I didn't, but now that I think about it, should have caught on, but it didn't.
Police think he wanted more from his relationship with Ashley, but couldn't take the rejection.
Originally, he had said that they played basketball, and then he had said they were friends, and then he had said he wanted a relationship with her.
I don't know if that's what he wanted. I mean, because I was in a serious relationship at the time. I guess kind of in time we grew closer because we did hang out and play basketball so much. He wanted to keep it very secret that we were spending time together and playing basketball together. If the principal found out or one of the other teachers found out, then he would lose his job.
As Ashley recovers from her injuries and trauma, she's preparing to face Sam in trial. His lawyers claim the confession video cannot be used in court because it was recorded before the cops read him his rights. But the judge rules against it, and the evidence will be eligible in court. Because of this, Sam Shelton pleads guilty to attempted murder. The judge sentenced him to 20 years in prison in 2007. Ashley doesn't let what Sam Shelton did to her stray her from her path. For a long time, she couldn't walk. The thought of running like she loved to, or play sports, was a long way down the road. But at a time when she was ready to give up, she tackled the most unusual task. She decided to watch the recovery video of her rescue.
I just felt like I wanted to see, I wanted to know where I started. It kind of just gave me a sense of strength and kind of how far I've come.
One of her proudest moments, she says, was walking across the finish line at a fundraising race organized in her honor.
Whenever I was cheering and then all my friends started crying, it was very overwhelming, and I think I kind of started crying too. I knew that I was getting somewhere, and I knew that I could do this. And all these people are here to back me up. I can do what I want to do, and I am going to do what I want to do.
Now, after years of rehabilitation, with grit and determination, Ashley Reeves has come a very long way. She's a loving mother of 2 children.
I pushed myself to do better, to be stronger.
She's tough, one of the toughest people that you would meet.
Today, she hopes her story can inspire others in their darkest hour.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up on yourself. There's bigger, better things out there. I've gone through plenty of hardships, and it's just keep fighting. Every day it's a struggle, but you just gotta keep on trudging.
Pay attention to the man in the Deadpool costume. This footage shows him walking through a college campus parking lot in broad daylight. For the past 2 weeks, the man has been stalking this student, 21-year-old Lauren McCluskey, and on October 22, 2018, Lauren disappeared without a trace. October 13, just 9 days earlier, Lauren walked into the campus police department and reported that she had been receiving threatening text messages from unknown numbers. In the following week, she called the cops a total of 14 times, but no one believed her. October 9th, 10 days before the man was seen in the parking lot, security cameras from the university capture Lauren meeting with her boyfriend, Sean Fields. According to her roommate, she was planning to break up with him that very same day. The problem is, Sean Fields is not his real name. The circumstances surrounding Lauren's disappearance would remain a mystery if it wasn't for the clues she left behind. She made sure someone would find out the truth about what happened to her and expose the man in the Deadpool costume.
He was a predator, manipulator.
Very skilled at getting what he wanted.
Someone who you shouldn't believe a word of what they say.
The year is 2013. Lauren lives with her 2 loving parents, Matthew and Jill, in the small town of Pullman, Washington. She has a happy childhood, doing well in school, and has many close friends.
She was the kind of friend that you could rely on. It wouldn't matter the time or the day. If you needed someone to talk to, Lauren would be there for you.
Growing up, Lauren showed a natural talent and passion for sports. She was incredibly fast and agile, impressing her parents from an early age.
Lauren was just athletic from the very beginning. She could climb trees at 2 years old and she had no fear. She was pure determination.
With her parents' encouragement, Lauren pursued her love for sports, quickly discovering a talent for track and field. At only 10 years old, she earned second place at the USA Junior Olympics, and by the end of high school, the University of Utah recognized her excellence and granted her a scholarship. It's now September 2015. Lauren and her parents arrive at the vibrant Salt Lake City campus, home to over 20,000 students. Her parents are anxious about leaving their only daughter at college, hundreds of miles from her small town, but Lauren's confidence and maturity help her quickly make new friendships, including her new best friend, Alex.
We were roommates our freshman year, and we became instant friends.
For the next 3 years, Lauren continued to excel in everything she did. She was dedicated and determined, focused on her studies, track events, and of course, spending time with her many close friends.
Her eyes lit up when she talked.
Super smart. You didn't just see her as an athlete. She was a comedian. She's also a dancer.
She did extremely well. She was very excited about graduating.
But on the night of September 1st, 2018, Lauren's life would change forever. It's the start of her final year of college, and Lauren, having recently turned 21, decides to go out on the weekend for a fun night with her best friend Alex. It's Saturday night. Downtown Salt Lake City is bustling with nightlife as students fill the streets and bars. Lauren and Alex arrive at the entrance of the London Bell, a popular bar in Salt Lake City, known for their live music and dancing, and conveniently, only 15 minutes away from their dorm. Before entering, they're stopped by the bouncer, a friendly and charismatic man standing over 6 feet tall. He greets the two young women with a smile and introduces himself as Sean Fields before letting them inside the establishment.
I remember him being very huge, very big muscles. Throughout the night, he would come back and pass through and stop and talk to us a few times.
It's now midnight, and after a full evening of fun, the girls decide it's time to head home to get a good night's sleep, as they both have studying to do the next day. Lauren walks toward the bar's exit, when suddenly, there's a hand on her shoulder. It's the man she's been sharing glances with all evening, the handsome bouncer, Sean. They chat for a bit more, and before saying their goodbyes, he asks her out.
She gave him her number, and they made plans to go on a date later that day.
It's now September 2nd. Lauren gets ready for her first date with Sean. In her life, Lauren has never had a serious boyfriend, and so far, Sean is ticking all the boxes. He's considerate, friendly, attentive, and they both bond over their college life since he's a student as well, majoring in computer science. Although he's a bit older than her, at 28 years old, Lauren feels safe and happy with him. At the end of the date, the young college student goes back home with a smile on her face. Sean is everything she could hope for, a gentle and dedicated student, but also an independent man with a part-time job of his own.
It sounded sort of old-fashioned the way that he was paying attention to her. He took her out for dinner and bought her flowers and asked her to be his girlfriend.
She clearly seemed very happy about her relationship.
It started off really good, like a fairy tale.
But soon, Lauren's close friends notice unusual behavior in the new romantic relationship, which suggests it isn't as rosy and loving as it first seemed.
She said he told me to wear a t-shirt and jeans, so that's why I'm wearing this.
Her friends become concerned, noticing the independent Lauren they know and love now seems to be questioning her every decision. The affection and devotion Sean gives her now looks much more like obsessive and controlling behavior. He constantly harasses Lauren over texts and calls, and she would always answer, seemingly fearful of what would happen if she didn't.
Why do you have to answer your phone when that person calls? And she's like, they really want me to answer my phone right away because they just want to make sure where I'm at, what I'm doing, and if I'm okay.
After just a few weeks into the relationship, Sean now spends all of his time with Lauren, basically living with her on campus. He makes friends with other students in her dorm, and with these connections, he can freely move through her building without a key card. Lauren becomes more and more withdrawn, always exhausted, and her friends notice she isn't acting like herself anymore.
We noticed she was tired. She seemed stressed. You could tell, at least physically in her face, that she was going through emotionally a lot with the relationship. This guy is literally not good for her.
October 1st, 1 month after Lauren met Sean, things take a disturbing turn. Sean tells Lauren he wants to give her something. He says it is for her protection. The gift? A loaded military-grade pistol.
We would just tell her, like, no, you don't need it. Your safety is fine. If anything, he's compromising your safety.
When Lauren's friends hear that her boyfriend wants to give her a gun, they quickly tell their resident assistant, Diamond, a fellow student who works for the university's housing department, exactly what's happening with the new relationship and share their fears surrounding Lauren.
She's not hanging out with us as much. He's talking about getting her a gun, and then that's when it had passed the point of, oh, this is harmless gossip. I called my first supervisor and asked her, what some steps did you want me to take? Do you want me to call the police?
Surprisingly, Diamond is not told to contact the authorities, but rather send an email to the university security and explain to them the details of the escalating situation. And so, on October 2nd, 1 day after the unsettling gift, campus security receives the first alarming email about Sean Fields. The concerns are mostly centered around Lauren and that she may be in a potentially harmful relationship, but also that her non-resident boyfriend has been on campus frequently, and that he might be acquiring a weapon for her, and there are suspicions that he's even tracking his girlfriend's movements. However, days go by, and yet, Diamond's email inbox remains empty. The email is seemingly ignored. Then, only a few days later, on October 9th, Lauren makes a frightening discovery of her own. She finds Sean's ID card, but somehow, only the photo matches. The name and birthday are both wrong. The identity under the photo is of a 37-year-old man named Melvin Rowland. Lauren immediately begins to investigate, going online to search for his name. She needs to know who her boyfriend really is.
She and a friend found a picture that looked like him that was a sex offender.
And I was like, are you 100% sure it could be this person? Based on what I was reading online, that was a really hard offense.
Lauren discovers that the name Sean Fields doesn't exist at all, but Melvin Rowland is a real person with an alarming police record. 2nd and 3rd degree felonies, including enticing a minor over the internet, attempted forcible sexual abuse, and repeated parole violations, landing him back in prison multiple times. Through her quick internet search, Lauren even learns that her boyfriend is currently on parole.
We were coming up with a plan for how she should break up with him.
It's late in the evening on October 9th. Lauren anticipates Melvin as he's arriving at her dorm any minute. She now knows about his criminal history and wants to end the relationship as soon as possible. Late at night, he enters her dorm room and Lauren summons all her courage to confront him, telling him all the information she has learned. Melvin's whole personality shifts, becoming extremely resistant and aggressive. He denies all his past accusations, but Lauren knows he's lying and remains persistent that their relationship is over. After hours of Lauren pleading with Melvin, he finally leaves. October 10th, the next day, Lauren, now broken up with her boyfriend, believes he's out of her life for good, but that would be far from the truth.
She started getting a lot of texts.
Many unknown numbers begin messaging Lauren's phone, identifying themselves as Melvin's friends. Each text becomes more alarming than the last, and Lauren, unsure what to do, responds to them, telling them to stop messaging her, blocking the numbers. But more and more new callers keep harassing her, and Lauren responds again, threatening to contact the police if they continue. But unfortunately, the messages only get worse. Although the numbers are unknown, she notices many spelling mistakes and grammatical errors, which are oddly similar to that of Melvin's past messages. One particularly concerning text said that Melvin has just died in a fatal car accident and insists Lauren must attend his funeral. On October 12th at 4:23 p.m., 3 days after the breakup, Lauren calls the campus police department, scared that she may be in danger.
I've been getting these texts from these numbers of different people. They were saying that he was in the hospital, that he passed away. I got a text about, asking if I wanted to go to his funeral, and I think they're trying to lure me somewhere.
All right. I will send this through an officer to give you a call. Is that okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
But no one calls Lauren back. Days go by, and police haven't even provided an update, and the texts continue to escalate.
At that point, she had already contacted campus police. It was like, you have to go in person. Saturday, October 13th, we headed to the police department. We went inside. I felt like they weren't taking it seriously. He's a sex offender. He went to jail. And I actually had to Google it myself and hand my phone over to him. I do remember them saying, it's a scam, it's probably a scam. She showed them one of the numbers that was sending her messages was the same number Roland had had when they were in a relationship together. They tell her that the detective was currently not in the office and that Lauren will hear an update by Tuesday.
The case was assigned to the on-call detective Kayla Dalif, who, at the time, was actually away on vacation. Although Lauren provides police all of the concerning details, including his criminal history, no one in the campus police department follows up with her claims, and most importantly, they neglect to even check Melvin's parole status, which would have brought much-needed urgency to Lauren's case. Worried she isn't getting the urgent help she needs, the college student goes above campus police and calls the Salt Lake City Police Department, a much larger authority, hoping they can speed things up.
University of Police will probably take the case then, just one sec.
I've talked to them already, but
Okay.
I just wanted to call you as well.
Usually we just take it where you live, and then that agency does a case.
Yeah, I was just concerned because I wasn't sure how long they were going to take.
Okay, let me get you up to them and so I can see what's going on with it. Just one moment.
Do you know when an arrest would be made?
You can talk to an officer if you want. I can arrange that if you want that.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
The Salt Lake City Police choose to redirect her call back to the campus police once again, who, in over a week since the first notice, have still not made any progress on her case. But Lauren refuses to back down. Over the next few days, she would continue to advocate for her own safety, reaching out to police on over 20 different occasions since she first began exposing Roland's disturbing past.
She was still being harassed and she was still getting messages. I know she was nervous.
It's October 19th. Melvin had recently bought a Deadpool costume. The comic book superhero movie Deadpool 2, starring Ryan Reynolds, had come out earlier that year, and Melvin was planning to wear this outfit on Halloween in just a few weeks. But in this footage, captured just 10 days after Lauren broke up with him, Melvin is seen lurking around campus, his identity concealed, secretly searching and stalking Lauren. At 4:02 p.m., Lauren has no idea that her ex-boyfriend is stalking her right around the corner. Notice how he holds a small black bag. Police would later discover hidden inside the bag was a deadly weapon, a fully loaded .40 caliber Beretta. 3 days later, on October 22nd, Melvin is captured again by multiple security cameras, lurking around the campus, looking for Lauren once more, and holding the same black bag. 8 p.m. later that same day, Lauren finishes her last class and heads back to her dorm alone like any other night. While walking, Lauren calls her mom back home in Washington State. The family routinely calls each other almost every day to chat about their day and the overall updates about how things are going.
She sounded positive and, telling me that she was going to go home and finish an assignment.
Matthew and Jill, both hundreds of miles away, are talking with Lauren on speakerphone when suddenly, both parents hear strange noises over the phone, and then the sound of someone yelling.
She must have gotten tackled or something because I hear the phone fell to the ground.
We were yelling, "Lauren, Lauren!"
I kept calling for her and she didn't answer. I knew that her life was in danger at that time.
I took the landline and dialed 911.
Hi, my daughter, Lauren McCluskey, was talking to her mom. It sounded like someone might have been grabbing her or something.
We were scrambling, trying to figure out where she might be.
All units attempt to locate a suspect involved in possible kidnapping. The victim is Lauren McCluskey.
Police, after weeks of Lauren's calls, finally take the case seriously and desperately look for the missing young woman, searching the area as fast as possible, but nothing turns up. Lauren's parents keep calling the police. Everyone is now on the lookout for Lauren. At that moment, police might have just received their first lead when authorities get a phone call from a student who found something while walking through the campus.
Hi, I just found a whole bunch of stuff spread out all over the ground and a phone that had an active call. I picked it up.
Where is that backpack out? Can you get a location for me?
Police find Lauren's personal belongings scattered all over the ground, but she's still nowhere to be found. Dozens of cop cars and police dogs surround the area, setting up a perimeter. Worried students across the campus start asking questions.
No answers. What were they looking for? What was going on?
They're getting multiple calls from students wanting what we want students to do.
The campus staff issues a shelter-in-place alert and releases a description of the prime suspect, Melvin Roland. A manhunt begins. Police broadcast his face on television, hoping someone will recognize him. The clock is ticking, and Lauren is still nowhere to be found.
I'm calling about my daughter, Lauren McCluskey, that's missing.
We do have officers on scene handling right now. We're actively looking for her. We're doing everything we can to track her down.
Finally, police review the security cameras and notice a man matching Melvin's description heading away from the college grounds. At 8:21 p.m., Roland is seen leaving the campus parking lot on foot. He proceeded to walk to a nearby light rail station before getting picked up by a driver. Hours go by, and police have no idea where he is or what he's doing, until, later that night, a terrified woman contacts law enforcement, telling them she recognizes the man wanted on the television.
I saw the picture of this guy, and then I saw that he may have been picked up in a silver Sonata, which is like a description of my car. I saw the picture, but the name isn't the same, or the age.
The woman tells police that Melvin, who once again assumed a different identity, went out with her that evening. She says they had met through an online dating app, and she had agreed to pick him up at the train station before going out to dinner and spending time at her place. He took a shower at her home and then left after midnight. An hour later, 1 a.m., Melvin is spotted by a police officer walking near 200 East and 500 South in downtown Salt Lake City.
I have officers chasing your suspect on the shooting. He is in foot pursuit right now.
Melvin runs down the sidewalk, evading police. The officers close in on him, but he slips away, breaking into a nearby church and barricading himself inside. The neighborhood is locked down, and no one knows what to expect next. And then, without warning, gunshots echo loudly. Police must act now. They force their way in through the large wooden doors, guns raised. Once inside, they find Melvin Rowland's lifeless body.
We have your suspect inside the church. It looks like he has a gunshot wound self-inflicted.
While police were on the hunt for Melvin, they were simultaneously looking for Lauren. They found her belongings and searched her dorm, but they couldn't find her. Later that evening, police eventually find the vehicle Roland was driving, a small silver 4-door car. The authorities approach it, examine it closely, only to find a body inside. Acting quickly, the officer calls for urgent medical attention. On the night of October 22nd, Lauren's parents receive a phone call from the university's track and field coach, telling them news that no parent ever wants to hear.
And I said, "Is she okay?" And he said, "I'm sorry, she's not. She's gone." I just started crying.
It was like trauma, like getting hit by a baseball bat.
I remember getting a text from Mrs. McCluskey. She said that we lost her. She said that Lauren had been shot. I just remember going outside and just looking up in the stars and just hoping, I just hope you didn't suffer, Lauren, and that you weren't in pain.
Lauren's parents and her friends are in disbelief. The whole school community is in a state of shock. Days after her passing, the school holds a vigil to grieve the loss of Lauren.
She was an amazing, genuine, and caring person. And she will be really missed.
Matt and Jill McCluskey are in disbelief at how the campus police department could have overlooked their daughter's repeated pleas for help, pleas that seemed to go unheard. Facing widespread criticism, the university holds a controversial press conference where the president states that there was nothing the campus security could have done to prevent Lauren's tragedy.
This report does not offer us a reason to believe that this tragedy could have been prevented.
I was shocked that she would say that. I just felt sick to my stomach.
These parents lost their kid. She is gone, and you have the audacity to try to cover your ass.
The sheer number of times that she was trying to get help from the police, when in fact it should have just been one phone call.
Outraged by the university's response and driven to ensure nothing like this ever happens again, the parents file a lawsuit against the university, believing it failed to protect their daughter and hoping to reform the university and create positive change in her name.
I do not want to be in this world without Lauren, but being stuck here, I have no choice but to try to make this world better.
Matthew and Jill McCluskey create the Lauren McCluskey Foundation with a mission to bring campus reform and enhance the security of students across the world.
All the proceeds of this settlement will go to the Lauren McCluskey Foundation. It will make the world better and make the students across the country much safer.
This tragedy has sparked an incredible movement that's captivated communities across the nation.
You can see some of the signs left by protesters here on the windows of the DA's building.
Justice for Lauren! Since Lauren McCluskey's death, they've made huge changes in almost every aspect of safety, changes within the police department, to housing, to new task forces, to faculty training,
pledging to build an indoor track and field facility bearing Lauren's name.
And Lauren is honored and remembered every day.
Women must be believed and taken seriously when they ask for help. When there is a situation, if someone tells you what's going on, that you respond with urgency.
The family created what would become known as Lauren's Promise.
A promise that I will listen and believe you if someone is threatening you.
That promise taking root in communities nationwide.
To increase awareness of the problem. This is not your fault that you're in this situation, and it's okay, let's talk about it and let's do something about it. I've had students come to me and say, because of Lauren's Promise, I'm alive.
These two videos hide a disturbing secret. On October 9th, 2013, soon-to-be missing teenager Abby Hernandez left school at 2:31 p.m. wearing a striped sweater, jeans, and boots. For the longest time, this has been Abby's last known location.
Abby, you're a strong young woman. I believe you're alive, and I know that hope speaks louder than fear.
A whole year later, she reappeared at her mother's doorstep, wearing the exact same clothes.
Missing teen Abigail Hernandez returned to her mom's house, but did not give police her alleged kidnapper's name.
The 14-year-old was allegedly strapped to a bed, tortured with a stun gun, and forced to wear a shock collar.
But what's even stranger is that, after she returned, the public's reaction wasn't relief, but anger.
Was the child held prisoner 9 long months? Was that for real?
Sounds like Abby's a punk teenager who ran away.
Doesn't sound like she's in any danger.
She should be forced to pay back the state.
This whole story has been fishy from the very beginning.
Is there anything you'd like to say?
Nope.
Victims don't act like that.
I'm not buying it.
We just want to have some answers.
There's still lots of questions regarding Abby's disappearance.
But as the details of her abduction unraveled, it became clear to the police that they weren't dealing with an ordinary criminal.
Law enforcement says this device is a bomb.
We've heard a report that he believed there was a zombie apocalypse.
Building firearms at home.
She doesn't know the name, but I can't tell you because he's going to come and kill us. He's everywhere.
With the whole world against her and an armed psychopath on the loose, Abby now has to find the courage to finally reveal the truth.
Abby!
It's October 9th, 2013. 14-year-old Abby Hernandez is heading home after a long day at Kenneth High School. She walks with a slight limp because her new boots, an early birthday present from her mother Xenia, are making her feet sore. But she's looking forward to her party, coming up in only 3 days. Once she finally reaches the schoolyard, she sees the bus pulling away. With no one to pick her up, she starts the long walk home. 2 hours later, Xenia returns from the hospital where she worked to find her house empty. This was unusual since her youngest daughter never did anything out of the ordinary without first calling or texting her.
Abby always has been very kind, always loved animals, a little bit of a tomboy, very cheerful, happy. I was worried, but she should be somewhere. You know, she probably is at school with her friends. I was like, okay, I'll go to school. And the librarian says I saw her leave. And that's when I got very worried. She had an injury, broke her leg, appendicitis, who knows, like got hit by a car. I called the hospital at that time. I said, no, they have not seen her.
Most people would immediately think that Abby ran away, but Xenia knew her daughter and never even considered it. On the contrary, with Abby's birthday coming up in only 3 days, it seemed impossible that something like this could happen.
She was very enthusiastic about it. We were planning a whole big party to have friends over.
She called Abby's best friend, who told her that, mere minutes before she left, the two snapped a selfie together and that nothing seemed wrong with Abby.
That was the last known picture of her, was the picture her and I took together in science class. I gotta tell you, she faced problems. She didn't run away from them.
Even the police officers Xenia talked to when she declared her daughter missing agreed that it didn't seem like she ran away.
She was very family-oriented, close with her mom. We just didn't see anything that was suggestive to us that something she had done had caused her disappearance.
Classic teenage girl.
That's what she appeared to be.
Within hours, Abby's disappearance made local news and shocked the community. After all, New Hampshire is the second safest state in the country, and the last high-profile abduction there dated back to 1986.
We are also following new developments in the search for a missing teenager from Conway tonight.
The search ramped up incredibly fast. The Conway police started, the Attorney General's office got involved, the FBI, state police, basically created a dragnet in the North Conway area looking for Abby Hernandez.
Following 3 days of relentless search, Abby's birthday loomed in, and the Conway community came together to hold a vigil for the missing teenager.
Happy birthday to you. I miss you so badly, and Sarah and I think about you all the time. And we want you back with us, please, and we love you. We miss you.
We spoke exclusively with Abby Hernandez's mother last night. She says she sees Abby in her dreams and doesn't want to wake up because that's when this nightmare returns.
She couldn't have known then, but Xenia's words mirrored her daughter's situation all too well. It began 3 days earlier, when Abby was walking home from school. Halfway through, a car stopped beside her. The driver leaned over and pointed at her slight limp before asking her if she'd like a ride home. Feeling the blisters on her feet, the young teenager reluctantly accepted.
I just feel so bad that I got in the car.
You were 14. You were a child.
Yeah. But I try to tell myself.
As soon as they reached town, the driver sharply turned towards an isolated parking lot.
I definitely got a gut feeling that something's wrong. So I said, you know what? I actually live really close to here. I think I can walk. I unbuckled my seatbelt. He kind of straightened his legs and he was digging for something. And then I saw a gun.
Under duress, Abby was handcuffed and blindfolded. As they drove off, the man kept shoving her down underneath the dashboard to hide her from any passerby. She tried to push him back, but things escalated quickly.
I felt this stammering pain in my leg, and I thought, oh my God, I've been shot. I did not want to die.
Despite her fear, Abby kept fighting back, but each time she pushed him away, the pain in her leg amplified. That's when she realized that she wasn't being shot at, but shocked repeatedly with a stun gun. Powerless, she tried to reason with him instead.
I said, I don't judge you for this. If you let me go, I won't tell anybody. And I asked him, are you gonna rape me? And he told me, call me master.
After a long ride, the kidnapper stopped the car. Abby was dragged into some kind of building and thrown onto a dirty mattress before the man removed her blindfold. Looking around, she noticed metal floors, walls covered in soundproof padding, and padlocked latches on every door. But the worst was the figure standing right in front of her. Hiding his face under a golden Halloween mask, her captor proceeded to chain each of her limbs to metal bars surrounding the mattress.
And then he put like a t-shirt over my head and then a motorcycle helmet over that. He said, if you try to scream or try to escape or make any effort to escape, there will be consequences. I can blow your brains out. I can slit your throat right open.
The next 3 days are difficult to describe. Stuck in a constant loop of abuse and torture, Abby had to live through a nightmare surpassing anything she could have ever imagined.
He played heavy metal music really loud, and I was gagged and everything. I didn't know if it was day or night. And I remember praying to God, and I remember I never said, like amen in my mind. I never wanted to end my prayers because I didn't want God to leave me.
The search for Abby continues again tomorrow morning.
He eventually told me that I was on the news. Everybody was looking for me. He said, I'm gonna let you see it. He held his phone around me and he let me watch the press conference where my mom was looking for me. That's when I really wanted to cry.
And we want you back with us, please.
I think maybe that's when I did cry for the first time there.
And nobody knows where you are. Nobody knows what you're going through.
Right.
Abby's horrifying ordeal continued for almost 2 weeks until her captor asked her to write a letter to her mother, convinced that this was the only way the police would ever stop looking for her. His instructions were to make it look like she had run away, but Abby had other plans. Seeing this as her only opportunity to contact the outside world, the teenager attempted to carve a small message on the back of the page using her fingernails.
He said, help, I was kidnapped. I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna die tonight or I'm gonna escape somehow. He said, I found your messages, and I just felt my heart sink. It's like, oh my God, he's gonna kill me.
The kidnapper seemingly had no intention to kill Abby for the time being, but cruelly punished her nonetheless.
He said, I'm thinking of finding something a little more humane for you. He said, I'm thinking of a shock collar. They're like dogs wear. He put it on me, and he held a stun gun to my feet, and it was really horrible. And I remember I tried not to scream, but ultimately I had to scream. Probably the most pain I've ever experienced.
This is torture.
Yeah, it is. I just really wanted to live, though.
Still hoping that the police would stop looking for Abby if they thought she had run away, the masked man forced the teenager to write a second letter.
This time he made me say, "Dear Mom, I'm sorry I did this."
The letter would take another week to reach Xenia. 1 month after Abby's disappearance, this was the first sign that the teenager was still alive.
It was really like numbing for the first maybe 4 weeks, and then I received a letter. I can't believe it, and I'm happy beyond belief. And I'm also confused about some of the language. It's her, but it's not her.
As any mother would be able to guess, even though she could recognize Abby's handwriting, Xenia couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right with the letter's content.
Dear Mom, I miss you and love you more than you can imagine. I'm sorry I did this. I've seen the newspaper and TV reports. And to answer your questions, yes, I'm alive. I miss you, Mom, but I won't tell you where I am.
The police leaned towards Xenia's opinion too. They even prohibited the information from being relayed to the public for Abby's sake.
We were able to confirm her DNA profile on the letter, but how she came to write that letter, nobody was sure. If the victim had somehow been able to sneak a letter out, if she was in fact kidnapped, if her captor knew that, she was at greater risk.
Attorney General Jane Young soon realized the letter was their only card. If they hoped to find Abby, they had to risk it, reveal its existence, and ask the public for help once more.
We believe that it was, in fact, written by Abby.
Someone may now be manipulating her, and her safety is still absolutely in question.
The fact that she has the ability to send a letter, does that indicate to you that she's maybe all right?
Is this a runaway case or an abduction?
We are still classifying this as a missing person case.
But that press conference had an unanticipated side effect. The public opinion suddenly turned against the missing teenager.
There's still lots of questions regarding Abby's disappearance.
We just want to have some honest answers.
One of the things that we obviously can't control is what that court of public opinion is. I think people have formed very ardent opinions as to what they think happened.
Sounds like Abby's a punk teenager who ran away.
Doesn't sound like she's in any danger.
She should be forced to pay back the state.
This whole story has been fishy from the very beginning.
As disinterest grew, so did the rumors, especially at Kenneth's high school, where Abby, her best friend Miranda, and her boyfriend Jimmy all attended.
Reporters, they would say, if it's a runaway, we can't cover it, it's not news.
It was definitely a hot topic for gossip. Being in high school, most people want to assume, oh, she was pregnant, that must be why, that she ran away.
But the police had already cleared her boyfriend Jimmy as a suspect. The Attorney General had a choice to make. Either she declared Abby a runaway or an abductee. Thankfully for Abby, Jane Young chose the latter.
People just don't disappear off the face of the earth, especially a 14-year-old girl. She didn't drive. We knew that there was money at home that she didn't take. She had only the clothes on her back. No matter where she was, it fit the definition of kidnapping.
The lack of media interest slowed the influx of tips from the public to a drag, and quickly, the case went cold. However, Xenia refused to let her daughter's story die. As the months passed by, she continued making public appearances alongside Jane Young. There, she read her desperate pleas out loud in front of the few reporters who still thought her story worthy of the evening news.
Dear Abby, I believe you're out there somewhere, watching and listening to me right now. I miss you and love you so much more than you can imagine. Abby, you're a strong young woman, and I'm staying strong for you. You are courageous, you are smart, and you are beautiful. Abby, you matter to me. I believe you're alive, and I know that hope speaks louder than fear. Abby, I keep having a dream where you come home, and I give you the biggest hug ever. I know in my heart this dream means something, and that it matters. I pray to God it will come true. Love, Mom.
5 months later, in a small town 30 miles north of Conway, 34-year-old firearm machinist Nathaniel Kibbe was heading home when a female driver accidentally hit his car. Furious, he got out and knocked the woman down to the ground using the handle of his pistol. Unbeknownst to the police, this seemingly random act of violence had actually been committed by the same man who kidnapped Abby 6 months earlier. Following the assault, Kibbe was arrested in order to surrender his most precious possession, his extensive gun collection.
We knew, he's probably going to argue everything you're going to say, and he's going to have some sort of, I know my constitutional rights, and argue that point.
He had very strong beliefs about the Constitution and, its origins and its meaning.
In a move completely inconsistent with his character, Kibbe called the police himself ahead of the date of the surrender, asking them to come and collect his guns right away.
This is the first time for myself that anyone has contacted us ahead of the paperwork getting to us, so that was odd.
Once on Kibbe's property, police officer Eric Benjamin, who knew him personally, couldn't help but notice the oversized shipping container in the backyard. When asked what was inside, Kibbe dismissed the question, citing that the court order required him to surrender his weapons and nothing else.
We didn't have any reason to get closer, and he made sure of that.
On top of that, Abby's disappearance was now far from the headlines. After 5 months, most of the journalistic community concluded she ran away. Most, but not all. The local news still covered the case and the efforts made by Abby's friends to reach out to the missing teenager.
The words, "We miss you, Abby," flash across the new video posted on the Bring Abby Home website. It's filled with messages from friends.
Dear Abby, I cannot tell you enough how much you are missed. Hi, Abby. I know I haven't seen you in a while.
I really need you back. There's nobody else like you.
Letters are also posted on the website. One friend writes, "One of the hardest things is knowing that I can't talk to you when I need you the most." Friends share their sadness, confusion, and their hope that these messages will be heard somewhere by Abby.
But yeah, we just really, really miss you, Abby. Please be home soon.
Following Kibbe's clash with the police, the man became increasingly paranoid. This changed the dynamic inside the bunker. Abby was now chained up at all times, and Kibbe installed tubes and pumps by the side of her bed so that the teenager could drink on her own while he sometimes stayed out of the bunker for days. Eventually, Kibbe's paranoia reached its climax, and he made an unexpected move.
He said, "You know too much." He said, "So I need to move you. Like, we can't stay here." He put me in the trunk of the car, and we drove for a really long time. He carried me over his shoulder into a room, and he dumped me on a mattress. He made a room for me, which is where I lived for months. But I noticed on the door there were like screws and then wires. And he told me that he tripped the door so that if it, for any reason it was busted open, the room would catch on fire. When he tied me up, he said, "Do you want to know how I know how to do this?" He told me about his experiences in juvenile prison and about how they abused down there.
6 months into her captivity, this was the first time Kibbe opened up to the young teenager, and over the course of the following weeks, their conversation kept growing. Kibbe, an atheist and objectivist, would debate with Abby about the existence of God and his libertarian ideals. As much as she noticed the man enjoyed these exchanges, Abby still saw him as a monster. After all, even though the worst of the torture was behind her, he continued to abuse her almost every day.
Did the rapes stop?
No.
That happened throughout your captivity?
Yeah. But one time he fell asleep with me. I was facing the door. I woke up, I wasn't wearing a blindfold. So I remember rolling over and I saw his face and I quickly sat up and I covered my eyes because I was afraid he would kill me now. Because he said I needed to forget what his face looked like.
But as the weeks went by, Abby realized something. The more she befriended Kibbe, the less violent and abusive he became. An avid reader, he gave her loads of books to keep her occupied during that period. Amongst them was a cookbook that would later reveal itself to be the key to her kidnapper's demise.
You know, being there for like 9 months, I kind of eventually became weirdly comfortable. And he always told me, he said, "You're like the closest thing I'll ever have to a daughter." I guess he kind of looked at me like he wanted to teach me stuff. So anyway, he had a cookbook and I would just read the cookbook. But there was a name written in, block letters, and the name was Nate Kibbe. I asked him, I said, "Who's Nate Kibbe?" He looked a little disappointed and he just kind of breathed and he said, "How do you know my name?"
Time went on, and Abby learned a lot more about her kidnapper. Not only did he stop wearing his mask around her, but he also shared more about his disturbing past and beliefs. From Ayn Rand to the signification of the Gadsden flag, Kibbe lectured Abby about libertarianism often, and, for that reason, she wasn't surprised when he came up with a scheme to strike back at the government he hated so much.
He said, "I'm thinking of making counterfeit money," because he said morally, they owe me basically. So he said, "Let's make some fake money." And part of how I gained his trust, I guess, was, I went along with whatever he wanted to do.
As Abby and Kibbe spent more time together printing money, his interest in her faded. The abuse didn't stop, but he began seeing sex workers instead most of the time. One of them, 27-year-old Lauren Monday from Nashua, had a peculiar encounter with him.
I just felt from him like he needed somebody to talk to, and that's all he wanted to do. He said he's done bad things, said, you know, we all have done bad things in life.
The pair rented a hotel room, but according to Lauren, Kibbe didn't even want her services, only emotional support and reassurance.
He rubbed my head and played with my hair and rubbed my face until I fell asleep.
When she woke up, Lauren found a pile of $50 bills on the table, but no signs of Kibbe. Later that day, she tried to use that money to buy groceries at the local Walmart.
The cashier grabbed it and she said, yeah, just give me 1 minute. I said, okay, no problem.
Minutes later, the cashier returned and informed Lauren that the police were on their way because the bill she used was a poorly made counterfeit. Furious, Lauren didn't wait a second.
I called him immediately and I swore at him. Okay, I said, you could have at least told me. How dare you play with my freedom?
Even though Kibbe gave her a fake name, she shared his email address and a clear description of his heavily damaged vehicle with the police.
I told him, whatever you're making in your damn basement, you better clean it up right now because they are coming for your ass.
Unaware of what happened with Lauren, Abby jumped when Kibbe slammed her door open in the bunker, screaming nonsense at the scared teenager. But like she did hundreds of times at this point, Abby kept her cool. She reached out and calmly asked him what was wrong. After 9 months in captivity, Abby knew Kibbe well. She learned how to act around him, how to prevent his outbursts, and even how to soothe him. Her strategy was twofold: listening and staying calm at all costs. No small feat under her captor's constant abuse and torture.
If I were going to write a textbook about how victims should deal with abductions, the first chapter would be about Abby.
Kibbe quickly explained what happened before telling Abby to get out. As she stepped outside the room, the teenager realized something shocking. Behind the explosive rig door was the first room she had been held in. She had never actually left Kibbe's bunker. When he made her move 4 months ago, he had just driven in circles for hours, only to bring her back in the same place, but in a different section of the bunker. Once inside his actual home, Kibbe removed Abby's shock collar and handed her a black plastic bag.
He gave me back my clothes that I got kidnapped in. He said, I need to get you out of here.
One could think that Kibbe would actually move her to another location this time, or even kill her and be done with it. But that's what's so unique about Abby's case. By treating her captor like a human being, she'd put him in a real dilemma. 9 months ago, he likely wouldn't have hesitated to get rid of her, but now, the man had grown attached to the young teenager in his own distorted way. This shift came from Abby's incredible resilience and ability to see the good in everyone, even her own tormentor.
She also humanized her captor. She essentially played mind games with this guy and was able to gain his trust.
Somehow find a way of seeing the humanity in the person that was treating you so cruelly and use that as a survival technique.
As they got onto the road, she was still unsure of what he would do. Maybe drop her in another state or hand her over to someone else. But her heart started racing when she saw a sign along the road reading, "Conway ahead." Before long, Kibbe stopped the car in the exact spot where he kidnapped her almost a year ago.
There were no cars coming either way. He said, get out. I slammed the door and he drove off. Just like that, that was it. I looked back on my freedom and it was something that I really wanted to experience again and I really longed for. I remember looking up and laughing, just being so happy. Like, oh my God, this actually happened. I'm a free person. I never thought it would happen to me, but I'm free. And I just walked home.
In a twist as unbelievable as it is ironic, Abby got to finish her 9-month-long walk home. She was even wearing the same boots that had brought her there in the first place.
I remember when I came up to my doorstep, I could hear my mom talking on the phone. I could hear her voice. I opened the door and I said, Mom? And I remember she said, Abby? And then I remember she ran out. It was almost like, it was a shock. Like I had this shudder and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. That was such a beautiful moment. I remember just the look on her face. I remember seeing her and she looked different. She really did. I could see stress, those months of stress in her face. And it kind of killed me a little bit, but I was just so relieved to see her.
But things were far from over for Abby. The last thing Kibbe said before releasing her was that, since the civil case against him had been dropped, the police gave him back his guns. If she ever revealed his identity, she could expect him or one of his libertarian friends to come for her in retaliation, willing to do anything to protect her family. Abby kept Kibbe's name a secret.
Her captor told her that he would kill police if they came to get him, that he would kill her family. He made all kinds of threats.
She says, I know the name, but I can't tell you because he's gonna come and kill us. He's everywhere. He knows I'm telling you this now. I was like, no. I said, he doesn't. And like, we're in a public place. She's like, yeah, he's gonna come and shoot us.
When this information came to light, the public's outrage was reignited, repeating the same drama surrounding Abby's letter from 7 months ago. Everyone criticized and blamed the survivor for her silence.
Was the child held prisoner 9 long months? Was that for real?
Even without Abby's involvement, Lauren Monday's deposition about the counterfeit money should have indirectly led police to the kidnapper. However, at the time, New Hampshire was dealing with a widespread counterfeit money operation tied to groups unrelated to Kibbe.
Right now, Claremont police are warning people to be on the lookout for counterfeit cash.
Is this a larger part of a bigger group of people? Is this just an isolated incident?
With her back against the wall, Abby had to make a choice. Thanks to her family's love and reassurance, she gathered her courage and made sure Kibbe never harmed anyone else by finally revealing his identity to the FBI. In cooperation with local police, the Bureau organized a large-scale raid of Kibbe's property.
I heard the radio communication say that he had a pistol in his waistband, and I really felt like the next communication was going to be we were going to hear that there were shots fired.
To the federal agent's surprise, but not the local police, Kibbe immediately surrendered.
Nate Kibbe behaved like Nate Kibbe always behaved. He was violent in situations where he had the upper hand. He was never physically confrontational with the police.
For the next 2.5 years, investigators in tow with Attorney General Jane Young built their case while Kibbe awaited judgment in jail, and the results spoke for themselves. There was enough evidence to charge the 34-year-old with 183 crimes. From kidnapping to hundreds of sexual assaults to the production of counterfeit money, the suspect had no choice but to accept a court-mandated plea deal for 7 of those charges, guaranteeing him a sentence of 45 to 90 years.
Well, initially, Nathaniel Kibbe faced 183 charges, but with a plea deal with the state, pled guilty to 7 of those charges. Now, Kibbe will spend 45 to 90 years behind prison bars.
What this investigation revealed is that every painstaking detail that the victim provided was in fact true, no doubt. Everything supported by evidence, hundreds of pieces of evidence, physical evidence, purchase records, statements of other individuals.
Every day, I'm just glad that she got away. She was one who got away. And it's not a cold case file of another innocent child.
Since Kibbe's sentencing, Abby has achieved many things, from finishing high school to becoming a hairdresser, a goal she had even before the kidnapping. She also became a proud mother and an executive producer on a film based on her case. However, her most profound victory came before all of that. On May 26, 2016, she finally took the stand in court and faced Kibbe on her own terms.
A dramatic day in a New Hampshire courtroom. A young woman face-to-face with a 34-year-old man under arrest and now charged with kidnapping her.
It seems like forever. 2 years have gone by, but I often think about Kibbe. What he did affects my life on a day-to-day basis. My name does not mean the same thing anymore that it did before October 9th. But I need to be safe, and so does my family. When you decided to point that gun at me, that was not my choice. It was not my choice to go to your house. It was not my choice for you to hit me. It was not my choice for you to threaten me. You did all that yourself. I'm just telling you the truth, because sometimes I feel like I wear this whole thing like a millstone around my ankle. Sometimes I still feel like I'm chained, and sometimes I don't feel like I'm completely free. There are certain aspects of my freedom that I can never get back. But in the same aspect, I want you to know that I appreciate my freedom because of you. And that I enjoy and appreciate life because of you. And that I never look at sunshine in the same way. Some people might call you a monster, but I've always looked at you as human. And I want you to know that even though life became a lot harder after that, I still forgive you.